Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second webinar of the series of three we're doing. I am Eduardo Jorge. I think you already know me from other webinars. And we also have with us Carlos.
Yes, I'm Carlos Prayón, and they said welcome you all. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. We're gonna give like a couple of minutes, for those who might run a bit late. We won't take long because we don't want to abuse any of your time, but let's give 2-3 minutes for those who might have trouble connecting or whatnot. As Eduardo was saying, this is the second of this series of webinars. We had a first one some weeks ago where we gave like preliminary overview of the whole legislation that's coming into place. Today we go a little bit more into detail and we give news like new things that we learned in the last weeks from the tax agency. And in a month from now, in June, we will have a final sort of a final before the deadline, a final webinar where we'll try to cover all the questions that you've been sharing with us, that you've been sending us all throughout these webinars, to make sure that all of you and whoever might join has everything clear and has all the relevant information before the deadline of July the 29th. So yeah, we're super excited to see so many people interested, to see so many people being responsible about this, trying to do things in time, not leaving it for the last minute. And so yeah, it's good that we all, you know, we're all synced in here, and we deal with the right information, because there's been a lot of misinformation around around all this legislation, like because there's been changes along the way on the dates, on some of the details. So it's very important that we're all synced and we're all fine tuned here, so we know precisely and exactly what we need to deal with. Okay, so it's okay. It's already we've given the two courtesy minutes, or three courtesy minutes. So let's get down to business. We'll start over again. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. I'm Carlos Prayón from Business Development Fiscally in Iberia. Also, Eduardo Jorge from the same team, also Business Development. We will be your hosts today on this second webinar of our series of three that we started some weeks ago. As I said, we had a first webinar where we went a bit overall, an overview of the coming legislations, and we went a bit into details. Today, we go more specifically into Verifactu, and with some new features and some new informations that the tax agency has shared with us. And then next month we will have this one um, final webinar where we will try to cover, well, we'll make sure we cover every single question that you've been sharing with us along this process, along this journey. So today we're gonna go with Verifactu, the key considerations to know before the deadline in July 29th. We will, as there's several possibilities on how to adapt, integrating with a third party, what to look for, what to keep in mind. We're gonna share with you the latest updates we have on the Spanish tax agencies. There's news, and then, if you allow us, we'll give you a couple of touches about what our product, about our API signing is. Okay, so let's start with the key considerations. So, I'm pretty confident you all know about this, but just for those of you who might be new to it, Verifactu, what is it? It's a regulation that from the tax agency, the National Tax Authority in Spain, to prevent tax fraud. And it will apply all around Spain except the Basque Country and Navarra, who have their own tax agencies. And it will affect every taxpayer that has a revenue under 6 million euros a year. Those who are on 6 million or above are already complying with the SII, the Suministro Inmediato de Información, so they do not have to comply with Verifactu as of yet. And okay, it's important that we take this seriously because the penalties, I'm sure you're aware, but they're very big, as Eduardo is right about. Tell us.
Yes. So, yeah, basically the penalties that we have differ depending on the affected entity. Verifactu applies or affects both the taxpayer, so your customer, and you as a software vendor. Basically, for the taxpayer is around 50K per year. For the software developer is 150K per year. In here, basically what I would take out of this is just let's comply, let's be on time. Basically, the tax agency wants to kind of scare software developers. They consider software developers as a partner for avoiding fraud. So basically, take this as a figure and basically be on time. Okay. So important. We have 68 days left until Verifactu becomes mandatory. We're going to do a small revision of the deadlines that we have. As you know, the 29th of July is the deadline for software developers to be adapted. Okay. By this date, if you are considering fiscally, by this date, you need to have the integration done. You need to have the self declaration done, which we'll cover later. And you also have to make sure that in your system, invoices that have been issued cannot be edited or eliminated. Okay, there are those three, let's say, requirements. Then we have the two deadlines for the taxpayers. We have the 1st of January 2026 for companies and legal entities, 1st of July, sorry, for self-employed. Something quite relevant that the National Tax Agency has reinforced lately in their frequently asked questions page is that if you acquire a new customer from July 30th, so a day after the deadline for you, they have to be complying with Verifactu. Okay, so your existing customer base still can wait until the deadline of the 1st of January or the 1st of July, but the new ones have to be compliant with Verifactu from day one. Okay, it's just only for the new acquired customers. Okay, so why adapt before the deadline? I think that there are mainly two reasons. The first one is very intuitive, I would say. Avoid penalties, be on time, no need to rush, no need to take risks. You have to do it anyway, so let's just adapt. And then the second would be, and this comes from the experience we've had with Ticketbuy, which is the Verifactu for the Basque region, or in other markets, other European countries where we've been. It's quite relevant from a commercial standpoint to be on time, because basically there's a large customer base that has a software that is not going to be adapted, and they're looking for new software solutions, and it's a great opportunity to gain new customers. So I would say those are the two main reasons why you should adapt before the deadline.
Yeah.
Now, Carlos, if you want to go over the different
Yes.
strategies to comply with
Yeah, sure,
Verifactu.
sure. Yeah, just to add on what you were saying, our experience in different markets around Europe and Spain proved that leaving it for the last minute turned out to be an awful strategic decision. So, I mean, just I can't stress how important it is to take this with enough time. So, we have different strategies we can adapt to get adapted before the deadline. So, but mostly they go down to two different options, which is an in-house development, develop your own solution, make sure your software connected with the tax agency properly and keep it updated, or lean or partner with a third party solution, which will, you lean on a specialist, and you can just leave it to them and focus on developing your own product. So if you choose to integrate with an API, this has some advantages for you because the adaptation is much, much faster. You don't have to study the whole legislation. You just have to study the integration with the product, and reduces all kind of risks, speeds up the implementation, and it helps, of course, avoid setbacks or penalties because it's not only adapting at the beginning, but keeping updated when the changes come, which will come based on our experience. So, what should we? I mean, if we finally decide to for this option for leaning on an API, what should we look for? And of course, we you have to look for a product that gives you the reliability, the expertise, a company that comes with all that. You have to make sure of that fulfills all the compliance requirements, that they have all the security requirements. I have to make a quick note here. All the data protection rules and laws are GDPR. Sorry, I was saying the letters in Spanish, GDPR and whatnot. It's super important. It's getting more and more attention by the authorities. So you have to make sure that the companies have a very strong privacy policy. You need stability, you need support. I mean, if you're going to lean on a third party, if you're going to partner with someone, you have to make sure you have some support guaranteed. And well, of course, the contingency plans and the different guarantees. I went summarizing very fast because actually it's quite simple, it's quite obvious all this. When what you need to look, if you're looking for a partner, you need all these characteristics from them. But now let's go to what you've been waiting for, the latest updates, the news that we have from the tax agency. Eduardo has some very interesting facts to share with you now.
Thank you, Carlos. Okay, so I mentioned it earlier, responsibility declaration. Okay, so first of all, in Spain, there's no certification process as such. Okay, no certification. You don't have to send anything to the national tax agency. You don't appear in a public listing, nothing. It's basically a document that has to be written by you, by the responsible of the company, basically stating that you believe that you comply. Okay, this is explained in a very simplistic way, but it's what it is. It's an auto certification document. And an important note here, Fiscally has its own responsibility declaration because we're taking care of most of the Verifactu obligation. Okay, we're taking care of the transmission of the files, the electronic signing of the files, the chaining of the files, the conservation of the files, and potentially the export of the files. But as I mentioned previously, you have to make sure that your software doesn't allow a user to edit or eliminate an invoice that has been issued, right? So because of this, you need to issue your responsibility declaration as well. As we've been saying in other sales meetings and so on, Fiscal is going to accompany you through this process. Okay, we don't know yet if it's going to be via a video or webinar, but we're going to be with you in this process. Okay, so in our case, we have a draft done. We haven't shared it yet. What we're doing is we're waiting for the tax agency to share different drafts and use them as an inspiration for our customers. Okay. Apparently, they're going to be shared in the next weeks. So, yeah, we don't have control over that. We need to wait a bit more. But again, we will accompany you through this process. Okay. As I said before the 29th of July, make sure that invoices cannot be edited or eliminated in your system. Many of you already have it. I'm pretty sure of that. Responsibility of declaration done and accessible, okay, to the customer. And 3, integration with Fiskaly done. So just so that you know, we're not going to go into detail. We'll talk more about it when the time comes. But basically, what information must come here, and this, let's say, fields are collected in the law. So basically, name of the system, code, version. An important note here is that when you update the new version, the responsibility of declaration should be adapted as well. Okay. Mode of use, Verifactu, um, whether if it's used by multiple taxpayers, which in your case is always, then some legal text and so on. So we just wanted there to list some fields so that you get a bit of a sense of what it consists of. Nothing too worrying, something that can be done with not much difficulty. And again, we'll accompany you through this process. Another relevant topic is the social collaboration with the tax agency. Okay, Fiscally has signed a social collaboration agreement with the tax agency. What this means is that Fiscally is able to use their own electronic certificate to send files, which are invoices, on behalf of the customer. Okay, what's the benefit about this is basically that if we didn't have this, you would have to collect the electronic certificate of each of your taxpayers. With us, you don't have to do that. You can just rely on our electronic certificate. Okay, we just need the signing of a representation document between the taxpayer and Fiscally, and then it's done. So we have seen that this is a great value add for our customers. Okay, so we just wanted to share that with you as well. And then last important news regarding the situation of Verifactu. The production live environment was the production environment is already live. So from a couple of weeks ago, taxpayers are able to send invoices to the tax authority. Of course, we're now in the voluntary period, as we said, until the 1st of January. But so that you know, the production live environment is there. And also, we always recommend to activate your customer before the deadline. So if the deadline of your customer is the 1st of January, please activate it in our system in October or so that they get used to the new procedure, to the new law, to certain situations, to be aware of errors, mistakes, and so on. Okay, so now, Carlos, please tell us a bit about SignES. I think that most of our viewers already know
Yeah.
about us, but
Yeah, but
small
it's
description.
important as as you just showed up. I mean, the point where there's no certificating entity, there's no um, a state or government agency that will tell you, you can trust your software is valid or not. In relying on specialized professionals such as ourselves in this case becomes like like a very suitable option, and SignES amongst those products is well, it's one we offer. So if I may take a couple of minutes to speak about it. SignES, what gives us is the possibility to comply with all the tax agencies that operate in Spain. Spain is different. We have 5 different tax agencies. Well, we can leave take that burden from you. Only one integration, and you can comply with all of them. You will just do your invoicing, and it will be fiscally SignES that will discriminate and take whichever actions are needed depending on the territory in which taxes are being paid. So this you can forget about all that. The main features, you know our products, but we do the QR code generation as is mandatory. We do the chaining and the electronic signature. We have the integrated digital certificate. Very important. What Eduardo was pointing out. We have we can use our certificate for your customers. So they're valid towards the agency, which is saves you a lot of trouble. We do have these very very sophisticated filters, so we avoid rejected files. In the integration, we set it up and we fine tune it, so there's barely no rejections whatsoever from any tax agency. The submission to tax authorities goes smooth, given that previous filters, and of course, exporting and archiving data with all the requirement needed. So what are the most obvious benefits of integrating SignES? Well, avoiding penalties. That's a very interesting one. You stay updated with the changes because, our experience tells us this is not about developing a solution. This is about keeping it updated, which takes a lot of reading from a lot of bulletins from different governments in Spain, which can go crazy. And we have, of course, all our reporting and technical support, real-time 24/7 technical support. Our integration is super simple, and we're prepared. Everything. I mean, we have all the endpoints and all the documents you may need if in case there's a tax audit. God doesn't want it, but let's cross our fingers. And well, you save a lot on development and training resources to comply with this yourself. And well, not only a product, but why Fiscaly? Fiscaly, you guys know us. We're number one provider in Germany. We're an Austrian-based company. As of today, we got more than 200,000 companies that rely on us. It's I think we're about to reach the 700,000 points of sale that do comply with different tax agencies through our different products. So yeah, we're pretty big. We have the experience and we got the knowledge and the team. So yeah, we're a good partner to consider. And okay, um, this is pretty much what we were going to cover today, but I have to insist. Uh, I'm sure there's been some questions now in the background. We'll get to this point right now, but there's going to be a last webinar in which we will give, of course, the latest updates from the tax agency, which will happen before the 29th July 29th deadline, and we will address all the answers that we've all the answers to the questions that we've been receiving all throughout all these webinars, and even some of the webinars we held last year. We'll make sure that we address every single topic that's been a question for you guys.
You should be
So
able to see a call to action to register
mhm.
to the next webinar. I think it's live, if I'm not mistaken. So you can register there for the next webinar. Okay.
Yeah, we should. So let's see now if I can manage to go
I
to
can
the
start with the
section.
first question if you want,
Yes,
Charlie.
please. Yes.
Okay. And again, if if questions come up later, you can reach out to us to that email, equipo@fiskaly.com, or, any Fiscally channel, and we will be very happy to answer to you. Okay. So first question. No, sorry, 1 second. Okay, so first question from John: is there a definition of software developer? If you have an in-house invoicing software that you develop yourself, are you a software developer? Yes. The response is yes. In that case, you are, let's say, both entities. You are a software developer and you are a taxpayer, right? So you should bear first the deadline of the software developer and be compliant by the 29th of July. If you have, well, it's not your case, but so that you know, distributors of software solutions don't have to certify. They have nothing to do. It's the developer of the billing software. Okay, that's the one that has to certify.
Okay. We have this question from Alexander. I'm glad you bring it up because this is one of the most common questions about the difference between the Verifactu system and the non-Verifactu. So it leads, and the naming the authorities choose lead many to believe that you can choose if you want to comply with Verifactu or not, but it has nothing to do with that. Okay, the Verifactu, to make it very very simple, to wrap it up, means that for every invoice you create an XML file, chain it with a hashtag, and you send it to the tax authorities. And then you give your final customer a ticket or the invoice with the QR, with the relevant QR. When you choose the non-Verifactu system, what you do is you create the XML file, you chain it with a hashtag, you sign it electronically, and you do not send it. You store it under some specific circumstances stated by the law. You give the QR code, and you store it. But if at any given point the tax authority asks you for one file or range of files, you have to be able to send it right away from the software itself. So you still have to be connected, and you still have to have all the means to be able to send the files in real time to the tax agency. That's the only difference. Technologically, it's more complicated, and it doesn't have any advantage whatsoever. And there's
It
nothing
has
better for
disadvantages actually.
exactly. It just makes it harder, and there's no good side or upside for the no Verifactu system. But I'm very glad, Alexander, that you brought it up because there's a lot of confusion here. The naming was, yeah, it couldn't be worse, and it leads to belief like you can choose to comply with Verifactu or not.
Mhm.
So, Eduardo, maybe you want to take the next
Yes.
question from. Mhm.
Yes, and also coming to the other question, the key is that we're not transmitting the files to the tax authority. Okay, so it's definitely a risk because there are errors in the file transmission. I mean, not in the transmission per se, but in the content itself. So the safest option and the most recommended option is to go for Verifactu, and that is what we recommend our customers. Okay. Okay, question from Nicolina. Is it mandatory to sign social agreement with the AEAT for POS software providers? No. So again, basically, so we're gonna transmit to the tax authorities your customers' invoices, which are files, with our electronic certificate because we are social collaborators. You have nothing to do with uh, neither to sign or to talk with the National Tax Authority. Okay, you just do the integration with us. You do the self-declaration, which will help you. As we said, we have time. We have 68 dates, as we mentioned earlier. Um, and again, there's nothing to be done with the tax authority.
Okay, we have this question from Claudio about Italy. Like he says, their software they make a POS system. So for them in Italy, there's two kinds of documents produced. One what they call receipt, and another one they call invoice. And asks if Verifactu is only for invoices or not. Well, this the anti-fraud regulation, what we call Verifactu, applies to every single kind of invoice. In Spain, we call them simplified invoices, which would be the ticket or the receipt you would get in a cafeteria, like you order some coffee and they give you this paper with the amount you paid. There's no information about the taxpayer. There's no ID or anything. Or what we call the complete invoice, where you get an invoice with the relevant all the fiscal data, the address, and the full name of the person.
Of the
In
recipient.
both cases, you have to create an XML file and send it to the tax agency. In some case, depending on the case, it gives more or less information. But both cases, I understand this is going to be pretty much what in Italy you refer to as receipt and invoice. If it's not, please feel free to address me. And we have we do have a product for sign for Italy. So there's experts on the Italian tax regulations in our team. So we can clarify everything if you need.
Mhm.
So maybe Eduardo, you want to take from Martin next question?
Yes, I think that it's a great point what you mentioned, Carlos, because as opposed to other regulations in Spain, any sale has to be fiscalized. Okay, doesn't matter if it's online, if it's offline, if it's €1 worth, if it's €3,000 worth, it has to be fiscalized under Verifactu. If the taxpayer has a revenue below €6 million and has fiscal residence in Spain, of course. Okay, so Martin, my software developer has told me they will not be ready for July 29th, so will not be able to sell their software here after July 29th, 2025 until they are ready in September, October 2025. Is this correct? So Martin, if you are a distributor, okay, a software distributor, you have to make sure that your software developer has adapted to Verifactu by July 29th. If they haven't done so, you can't sell it to new customers. Okay, you can keep making your revenue with your current customer base, but um, you cannot sell it to new customers. Okay.
Yeah. So he's totally correct. He is correct. He cannot sell it until it's ready in
Mhm.
September, October, which is
Yes.
the estimate they have. Is if
Yes.
software is developed after July 2025, how quickly can it be integrated? If I seem to understand you mean integrated with an API such as SignES. If that's the case, we have customers who do it in 3 days. It might take longer or shorter
Mhm.
depending on the expertise you have on integrating APIs. Those who never
Mhm.
integrated an API before might take a bit longer. Those who have in the past several times, they can do it in 3 5 day stops. So
Mhm.
okay, we have
Okay,
uh,
next one. Natalia, a hotel in Spain uses a PMS and a POS connected to Fiscally. PMS and
okay,
POS
good.
invoices will be sent to the ad in real time. Yes, that is correct. At the end of the day, when the restaurant closes, the revenue will be transferred to the PMS so that the hotel can have the entire revenue in one system only. Normally, this revenue coming from the POS is transferred to the same account in the PMS every night, and it is up for the reception to invoice that account. But the question here is, what will happen with that invoice? Okay, so to sum it up, you have to generate the simplified or the complete or any kind of invoice referring to a sale when the transaction is being carried out. Okay, in the case of the POS, in the restaurant of the hotel, they finish the meal, they give the invoice, they pay, you generate the you send it to the tax authorities in that case. Okay. Regarding the PMSs, what we usually see is that the invoice is generated after the checkout of the customer. We have also seen when payments have been done in advance. We have also seen other PMSs that generate that invoice once the payment has been done. But to sum it up in one sentence, you have to keep the same logic, the same invoicing logic that you have had. So that you have had previously. So whenever you have been issuing an invoice, send it to the tax authority. But again, it has to be sent when the transaction is being carried out. Okay.
Okay, no, but I seem because he keeps on going here. I don't know. I seem to understand that then the both
Ah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
hotel and the cafeteria are different entities. I understand,
Listen.
and but in order to unify all the accounting and to unify all the things, then the the cafeteria or yeah, the cafeteria invoices all the daily thing to the
Okay, now I
PMS.
get
I
it. Now
understand.
I get it. Now I get it. Yeah,
But
now I get it.
as long as there are two different contributors, there's no you're not mm, sending. I mean, the transactions you're not doubling it because I mean, first this cafeteria is making all this money or is making all these sales, and then there's another sale that the cafeteria does to the PMS. So if there are two legal entities, there's no problem whatsoever. You're not of course you're transmitting it twice, you're reporting it twice, but they're two different transactions actually. I don't know if that's the
Yeah,
case or I'm just spitballing
yeah, I
here.
think this is a very personalized situation.
Yeah.
If yeah, what you said, Carlos, obviously is right. If there are two taxpayers, that can happen. No worries. If they are the same taxpayer, I think that what Natalie is saying is okay. At the end of the day, I transfer from the POS account to the PMS account the money, so I should generate an invoice, taking assuming that it is the same taxpayer. They don't have to. It's moving money from one account to the other. Those sales have already been sent to the tax authority when the transactions and the operations were carried out, so you don't have to send to the tax authority, okay, I sent from this account to this other account 10,000 euros at the end of the day. You don't have to send that because as you said, and this is what we're understanding, you would be fiscalizing it twice. Okay,
Hmm.
so yeah, if it's not clear, yeah, reach out to us and we can
Yeah, but if it's a
dig deeper.
transfer, if it's a transfer of funds from one system
No,
to another in the same
yeah,
customer, you don't need to invoice. You don't
no,
need to create an
yeah,
invoice. You can go for any
just move
other
the money.
form or
Mhm.
document or whatever. It's just like a but if we're not answering you properly, please feel free to address us, and we'll make sure we'll cover this specific case with the time it deserves. But now I see we are already a bit over time. Well, do you have you can address to equipo at fiskaly.com, and we'll be more than happy to. I mean, Claudio with the Italian fiscality, Natalia with your specific case, any other question that might come up, right? I mean, it happens to me when I attend webinars. The minute I log out, that's when, oh, I had a question. If that happens, please write to equipo at fiskaly.com, and we'll be more than happy to address all your questions. And then also, remember, in a month, we have the final webinar of this series of 3, where we will address not only these questions, but many more we've been getting through these last weeks, and the ones we will get in the coming ones. So thank you very much for your attention, and it's been a pleasure from myself. Eduardo, I don't know if you...
Thank you very much for your time. As in every webinar, we hope that you're leaving the webinar with less questions than when you joined, which I'm not sure. But again, you can reach out to us, and thank you very much for your time. Okay?
Okay.
Take care. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.